So the election is officially 2 weeks away, and maybe less, depending on when you're watching this. So right now, the race is it's tied. Okay, it's been tied. It's that has not changed. This race has been pretty much close since it became Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris. Before it was more of a Trump advantage, but even then it was still relatively close. So we're really dealing with an election where we genuinely don't have a way of knowing what's going to happen. And because it's so close in the polls, and because there's so much data to indicate one thing or the other, it's really hard to just grasp um how this is gonna go. So what I wanted to do in this video is point to you three different ways in which the 2024 US presidential election could end up tilting. So the first way that it could end up going, and this is the most thought of way because it's actually happened twice, and it happened more so last time than it did 2016, is the polls are underestimating Donald Trump. Now, this is something that a lot of people, if you're a Democrat, you're worried about, if you're a Republican, you're hopeful about, because if this is the case, then it may be that Trump actually wins a few states he's predicted to lose, or at least he does significantly better. In 2016, Trump was tied in Florida. He was slightly ahead in Ohio and North Carolina, um, but there were some states that it was not predicted he would win, those states being Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. In fact, I don't think that many people expected he was going to even be close in those states, and he won all three of them. And the polling miss nationally wasn't that bad in 2016. That bad in the national popular vote. Hillary Clinton was up 3 to 5 points nationally. She won the popular vote by 2 points, so that was a more normal miss. But in states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, oh, it was pretty bad. And Ohio and Iowa, Trump was leading there, but only by a couple points, and he won both of them by like 8 points. And 2020, it was only worse. I mean, you in 2020, based on how the polling was, you would probably not have seemed insane to make a prediction such as Joe Biden is going to get 413 electoral votes. And that did not happen. He got 306. And Donald Trump was actually predicted to lose Florida and North Carolina. And North Carolina, he won by 1 point. So you could say that that was a normal polling error, but Florida was just badly polled in 2020. Biden was predicted to win by a point or two according to polling averages, and then he won by Trump won by 3 points. So that was like a polling miss more than you would normally expect, and ever since then, Florida has just zoomed right. So because of that, it's very possible that the tie, which at the end of the day is showing a slight Kamala Harris advantage, could actually be underestimating Donald Trump again. So that's outcome one. Outcome number two is actually the polls are underestimating Kamala Harris a bit. Now, this is one that's less given thought to, because it's not been common for polls to underestimate Democrats in the recent decade. But the 2022 midterms, which was right after Roe v. Wade was overturned, Republicans were actually the ones that were predicted to do well, and well, that red wave that many predicted did not come to fruition because many voters, primarily female voters in suburbs who were maybe more independent or Republican leaning, voted Democrat because of that. Now, that trend could hold up, and if that does hold up, Kamala Harris could actually win more than anticipated. And this one doesn't have as much um it wouldn't be as much of a swing because electorally, when you look at the electoral vote, it's A bit more likely Kamala Harris gets more than 270 than Trump does. So you would really be talking about maybe she crosses 300 rather than like 276. But that's still a possibility. And we'll have to see. Are voters still prioritizing abortion issues 2 years after Roe v. Wade has been overturned? That's a question. But again, it's one of those things where is Donald Trump on the ballot maybe changing things up a bit? Maybe that's not the top issue anymore. That will be known in 2 weeks. And then there's the third outcome, which is the polls are actually entirely correct this time. There's not really a miss. And this election is really going to be super close and be decided by one state. And if this is true, then the state that we're all going to be paying attention to on election night is going to be Pennsylvania. Because if the polls are all correct, you're going to see Kamala Harris likely pull out Wisconsin and Michigan. Donald Trump is going to win North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona. And then Pennsylvania will decide who our next president will be, and by a very slim margin. And Pennsylvania is a pure tie at this current moment. So that's really where we're at right now. So, what's going to happen? 2 weeks, we'll know our answer, but right now, keep an eye out on anything. Be ready for anything. This election is not going to be a dual moment no matter who wins. It's going to be very interesting to see.